Awesome. Okay, my name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehon with Swiftfire True TV, and it's been quite an evening of technology things, but we are here and we are ready to go. And I'm so excited to talk tonight about theta healing. This is a fun subject. I think it'll be beneficial for everybody who's watching. So I really do encourage anyone out there to please do your due diligence and share this, because this is definitely going to be one that's going to help a lot of people, especially in the season that we're in, with everything being so up and down and all around, and wondering what's true and misinformation and a lot of emotional turmoil going with all of this stuff. And this is something that we can take as a tool, and we can integrate it with our lives, and help out not just ourselves but humanity, others in the middle of that. And so I have a very special guest with us here, a new friend of mine that I was actually introduced to through the director of the Wellness Center in Montana. I've done a lot of work up there with that Wellness Center, and taught through the Wellness Center up there several times. And I had a book called Theta Healing that I was introduced to by a man named Dr. Lucky in Mississippi. And when I was in my health crisis, and this is like years ago, and I read through the book, I applied some of it, and definitely saw some success in my outcomes, and kind of like shelved it, forgot about it, didn't really think too much. And then I had a reoccurrence of some things that came up just a few months back. So I went back to that same doctor. And when I was there, I saw the book in the shelf, and I just kind of like looked at it, saw the cover, and I remembered, reading it, didn't really say much. Fast forward, went to Montana and was up there, and I had my crystal cards, and everywhere that I was going to these crystal shops, I had my cards out because I was looking to see what these crystals would do for different things with my physical body, and just kind of playing around with them in the shops. And there's probably, I don't know, there's a lot of shops up in Montana that carry crystals and healing and that kind of stuff. And so everywhere I went, people kept saying, "Oh, are you with the Theta Healing group? Are you one of the students at the Theta Healing thing?" And after about 10 or 15 times, my husband was like, "You need to find out what this Theta Healing thing is. Like, you need to find out what the school is they're talking about." And so when I went to the Wellness Center the next day to go get some juices, picked up some juice, I asked the director there, I'm like, "Do you have any idea what this like healing center thing is for Theta Healing or whatever?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And she told me about AI, and it's I, right? I'm going to make sure. Yes. And welcome to the show. She told me really good things about her, and she sent me her card. And then, she basically was like, "They're right here in this town." I won't say where. And I was like, okay. So I looked, we never found it, and it was fine. I came back, went to the doctor again to do some follow-up work, and saw the book, and like pulled it out this time and looked at it, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is the same Theta Healing. And Googled it, found out the website was the same one that they were talking about, not connecting any of this, and realizing, wow, this is from the past, which is really the future, which is really now. And so yeah, I sent out one of these card packages to the Theta place, to the director there, and you can share a little bit about her. And then I sent one to our guest here tonight too, just because I thought, I know she's in service and she's doing great work, and they spoke so highly of them. And I was just like surprising people who I don't know and send them stuff. And so lo and behold, she finds me on Instagram. I was having like a minute. I was actually in Seattle, and I was sitting there debating on some things to go back to one state or another, and some different things I had. And I was really like looking at flights and just trying to hear from God on like, where should I go? Should I go here or here? And instantly I get this message from I, and she's just like, hey, I just want to let you know, I just got these cards and they're beautiful and I'm so excited about them, and you'll have to share about how you got them and everything. And she's like, and I'm like,
I got muted for a second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said something about asking, well, where are you located? Because I wasn't really sure where she lived. I mean, I had the card and the address, but I had given it to my office and I wasn't really thinking about it. Sorry, my cat. I have a lot of animals. I foster animals, but and I it just wasn't connecting where she lived or where, because I knew she was a student and I knew that she taught there, but not necessarily all the students live in that city. So I just honestly didn't know. And so she said, oh, I'm in this city, which was the city I was considering going to the next day. And I'm like, I'm booking my tickets right now. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow and maybe I can see you. I'm going to be there for a few days. And, we ended up getting to meet. And I'll share a little bit about my session, but welcome to this. And I would love to hear your background, how you got involved in Theta, and then also just the synchronicities of, your version of how we connected and what you got out of it and how God works with synchronicities.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm just so excited. And then how this just got delivered to me was just so beyond exciting that I just love celebrating the synchronicity with you, because it just felt like it was a co-manifestation. I think it just everything aligned for us. But my name is Yuasa Green, and I am a Theta Healing practitioner and also an instructor. So I train Theta Healing practitioners as well. And how I came to the Theta Healing was I'm originally a certified nutritional therapy practitioner. So I was coaching people with the diets and then how to customize supplements and then how to take care of people like physically in a physical sense. But I came to a little bit of a frustrating point that if people's energy or the emotions and everything that's just if those things are not quite aligned, you could be eating the best thing in the world, what's in theory should be the best thing, but then they're not able to observe it, or maybe the food is just a symptom of what everything that's going on in people's lives or people's emotions, people's thinking patterns. And so I just felt the need to explore that something that's a little deeper cause of what's causing us to eat the way we do or how we treat ourselves. So that led me to Theta Healing, because we are able to tap into that vibrational patterns of like how we think, how we get into that trap of like repeating the same thinking patterns. And then by discovering like the deep end of where that thinking started and why we hold on to the way we think. And maybe it came from the group consciousness or it came from the ancestors that helped them survive. But just to being able to tap into whatever it is that's going on in the majority of the brain back there instead of what we know logically here, it's really powerful to change the flow of how our wellness goes instead of fighting the flow to try to change your diet forcefully. I can just change the flow of how we want to take care of ourselves so that it's more impactful and long lasting for the people to experience more holistic wellness. So it's been a super, super powerful tool for me to be able to tap into that more emotional, the belief systems, that more energetic and vibrational remedy in that way to, yeah. And coming back to this, I literally received your card in the middle of nowhere, Montana, where nobody knew where I was except for one person. I mean, I was 90 miles away from home, probably 60, 70 miles off the dirt road, in the campground. I didn't even know specific campground where, campsite where I was going to go. But let's go back a few days earlier. I actually saw these cards, just a box of it at the Theta Healing Institute, where I was translating for the Japanese instructors training it. So I saw this, and then immediately, obviously, I like rocks and all that, and I like crystal healing as well. So I was like, oh, I need to have that card. I'm going to research this.
So cool.
Right? And I'm going to get this. So in my head, it was on my manifestation list. But my manifestation beat me to it because I didn't even have a chance to get on the computer.
That's how quick you are, girl. You're powerful.
So my husband was coming out of the wilderness area from pack rafting. So I needed to drive 90 miles in to pick him up. And then if I'm going there, I might as well take my kids and then camp out there. So I just set up my camp. And then my friend, who I used to share the practice with, I was renting from her massage practice, which was on my business card that you received, had that business, the business address. She was the only person, because her husband was backpacking with my husband. So we both decided to camp on that site.
I want to see if I can find a picture, but keep going. Yeah. I think I have a picture of where you are in the middle of nowhere, but go ahead.
Yeah. So literally like a wide space of nothing. And then I was just there and arrived there, and then we did the campfire. And the following day, she brings this priority mail, literally like a mail with a box inside from somebody I didn't know. Like, who could be sending a mail to me here and then being delivered here? I mean, I don't ever receive anything from my practice, old practice address either. So who is this? And then I open this package, priority mail, and then I look at this, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, who in the world is sending this? And then it was you.
That's powerful. You are powerful. You're just like, yeah, some people have the outcome map and wait for like weeks and draw it, and but you're just like, I mentally put it in my vortex of manifestation, and boom, I had to submit to your energy. That's crazy.
And I immediately opened it, and then I was like squealing and then like dancing around the fires and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then so it so happened that a couple other people were at the adults that were at the campsite was interested in the oracle cards and then the tarot cards, or the vibrational remedy as well. So I ended up pulling a card for each person there, and it was spot on. Somebody was having a backache, and then of course that I pulled the carnelian card for her, and then that card was specifically talking about the lower back pain. And then another person was having like asthma conditions, and then that another card that I was pulling was like really spot on about the lungs. And then from there, we tapped into the Theta healing modality because she was just struggling with the breathing at the time. So we ended up doing a Theta healing session. Without this card, it wouldn't have even been brought up.
That is crazy. I mean, that's I'm looking, and you got to see these pictures. Let's see. Share.
Like, I'm not kidding. This is like
this is where she was, in the middle of literally, there's no building. There's a tent. And let me see if I can pull up the other one. There we go.
Yeah, it's a priority card.
She said someone hand delivered it to her with my note and the card and everything. And I wasn't even, when she sent it to me, she's like, I didn't know where she got it. I thought she ordered it because I didn't see the picture yet. She's like, hey, thanks for this. And I was like, oh, did you order it online? And we're not connecting. I just talked to so many people. And she's like, no, you sent it to me apparently because of, the wellness center. I was like, oh, now I know who you are. So it was like, it's really, really cool. But yeah.
And I got so excited. So I wrote you that message because I couldn't believe that I would receive a package there. I wasn't even home. And then that card came in to assist a couple other people that was there already, opening up a pathway for healing. And then coming back home, contacting with you. And then a couple days later that you were going to be coming to Montana anyway, so that our paths aligned again. And then so from what, like 5 days or so since I saw this card, I already met you in person.
Wow.
And then we were talking and then doing a healing session together. How much more alignment that
There's us.
Yay! Look
And
at
this is the big, huge, like life-size smoky quartz that we were sitting in front of. But yeah, I got to actually meet her in real life. So that was huge. That was a big treat. But yeah, there's some more synchronicities. So I'm going to share, if you don't mind, a little bit about my experience so people can maybe understand theta healing a little bit, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
But so previous to coming to go see my new dear friend, I had went to this Dr. Lucky, and what he kept picking up when he was muscle testing me and working through some things, he was like, are you getting some patterns in your life that have to do with like fight energy, or something really powerful, like aggravation or fight or warrior type things coming into your field? And I was like, well, what's going on? And he was like, I keep picking up something in your field, like this fight mentality or this fight kind of energy. And so I was like, well, my name is Sharnael, and Sharna means warrior, and it also means rose. So that's sort of like the male, female, and the anyway, there's a balance that needs to happen there, because you don't want to be one heavier than the other and be lopsided. Walking that out is interesting. And then EL is of God. So here we are, and he's like, well, let's try to clear it. It's just something to acknowledge and be aware of. And mentally, if you're feeling more warrior than rose, kind of check yourself and kind of move back. And it wasn't much more that we talked about. He did say something about it coming from my grandfather's side. He had asked about my grandfather, and there's a lot of things that were coming up about my grandfather at the time, because it was the anniversary of his death around that time, within a day, actually. And this doctor wouldn't have known that. And also, my grandson had just been born, and he was named after my grandfather. So of course we were, that was, in our minds of him not being there to see the baby that's named after him. And the baby was actually conceived on my grandfather's birthday, 9/21, and my grandfather's birthday, his birth date was 1921, and here we are 100 years later in 2021, and Cody Bennett was born, named after my grandfather. So there's all this like connection with my grandfather at the time, who happens to be Scandinavian, Norse, a real strong Norwegian. They grew, I heard Norwegian in the house growing up. And I was watching this Netflix series called Ragnarok that is about like the backstory of Thor. And the story was filmed in Norway, which I've been there, and I have lots of people still living there. And it was 114 miles away from where my people are, was where this was filmed. So when I was watching this series, and I'm seeing what really looks like where my people are from. And so there was just all this like stuff coming up about Norway and Thor, and wanting to go visit again. And so jumping forward, I'm going, I went to see the baby be born, and the baby was born, hung out, and then I went to go to Montana. That looks a lot like Norway, actually. I think that's probably why all the Norwegians were like, let's go and stay here because this looks like home to me, minus glaciers, but the mountains and just the beauty of everything, lakes and waters and stuff. And so I meet up with her and we start talking, and she picks up this fight type energy. And I don't remember if you said it exactly that way, but you said something was in the field or in the DNA that was projecting from my ancestors. And I think you had even said that it was on my grandfather's side, or I don't know if I said that part, but she's very intuitive, this girl. I mean, this woman is like on. And so I was like, that's so weird that you brought that up, and then I just told her everything that I told you. Now, so just so you know and understand the field, when we're talking about the field, we're talking about the biofield that is 6 feet to 8 feet around us. And it contains information. And that information it's within the field, which is both radiating out and magnetizing back in. So if I had a flight warrior radiation going out, then I would be collecting and magnetizing fight back to me in negative or positive ways, but still fight isn't really thriving or ease or relaxing or, and I get that there's times to fight, and also, that balance is really important. And so, if something is showing up in your patterns, you might not even be conscious of what's going out, because I wasn't sitting around going, there's definitely something from my ancestors on my grandfather's side that's projecting out of my DNA into the field that's bringing me something back. So, there's things in our DNA. Everyone has a thumbprint, an energetic thumbprint in the DNA, and we incarnate into that. And then we're walking around projecting that. And other parts of information, I'm not telling you this, I'm just telling for the people watching so they can really understand what we're bringing. This goes out, and either consciously or unconsciously, we are projecting all the time. And there's lots of information in the field. The field comes from our signature DNA, it comes from what we're thinking, what we're talking about, what we're feeling, which is all transformed and moved by external things that we look at or hear, how we are sovereign or not sovereign with external forces, and keeping our sovereignty in the middle of all that. So here's me sitting outside doing a session. I had asked, can I have a session with you because I wanted to see how she was using these cards in the session. And so she picks up this stuff with my grandfather, and I was like, great. So I was like, now that you're bringing it up, this was just brought up to me last week, but I didn't know how to clear it. And so now, do you want to share what your experience was moving from there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that you were completely open that there's info. I think you're absolutely right about the information that's projecting out. But we do come choosing that DNA too, because we have a lot of virtues and a lot of lessons that our soul wants to learn.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And then it is helping you to learn, but then how we learn it is actually something that we can determine now here, and that we can learn it in a traditional way that they have learned, ancestors has learned, which can be little more struggles or, the things like it. But it's a valuable lesson that with love that they are carrying it forward for us. But we as an individual can decide if that is the soul lessons that we are wanting to get, we are here to learn, then we can choose the way that we want to learn as well. And then that's what we shifted, because the fight actually was serving, because because there's a lot of good things, a lot of survival skills, a lot of strength, and a lot of the connection with the, the God, or, whatever else that the ancestor have learned. That lesson, which is so impactful, so important that, they...
Wow.
of course they would carry that on. But we get to choose here now from this day forward. We acknowledge actually the lessons that we have learned. We can activate it, bring it forward, but without and free from the stigma that came with it if you no longer want it. And I think that's the power in the theta healing, that we can actually shift the way. We can still go on our soul path, that we still gain what we are here to do, what we are here to learn and then grow, but then we can co-create and then put the energy, project it out. This is how I want to learn it. This is how I truly want to learn. And then with these, maybe instead of the struggle or the fight, maybe I want to do it with joy or inspiring others or having a collaboration or the compassion, I think that's sometimes we don't know how to fix things if we don't know what it is that we're dealing with.
That's it.
Right?
You're so right, because let's say you have a whole generational, line of people who cheated and, or committed adultery or something, cheated and stole money and that's in the DNA. Mm-hmm. And let's say we incarnate into that and that's what's projecting, or a victim mentality, or name it, that's what's projecting. And then you keep getting people who steal from you or take advantage of you or blame you for stealing, or and you're just like, oh my God, I'm nice, I'm loyal, I'm always on time, I do things for all these people, and people are still accusing me of stealing, or people cancel clear, or people are still taking advantage, or what, because it's the code. The code is still out there, and you can do all the physical things and not be aware of something that's stuck in the numbers and the equations. And so, love is great. And I think I know what you do and what you did provided major success and direct outcomes. And I'm going to show you some pictures, you guys, in a minute, because it was absolutely bizarro. But do you remember some of the questions that you asked? Because this goes back to that mental outcome mapping that you did. You manifested by just a mental outcome. Like I teach outcome mapping, like writing it out or doing treasure vision boards or what have you. And it's gotten so quick that I don't even put it on paper either. I'm doing mental like you are too. But yours was like so fast. But when we were sitting there, you walked me through some things. Do you remember some of the questions? Because I loved how you were like, do you want to know what it feels like? And, something like that. Can you share a little bit about that? And why do you ask it that way? I think I know scientifically, but like what in the training is that about?
So what you're talking about is what in the theta healing world, what we call the downloads. And those are the things that if we don't have the receptor for specific feeling, if we never experienced it, it's really hard for us to recreate. So if you are in the poverty mentality or something, and consciously that you want to create abundance, but then if you don't know what abundance feels like, it's hard to recreate that feeling, right? And then that might be like maybe a neurotransmitter patterns, or maybe it's a receptor on the cell that they can receive the neurotransmitter so that you can feel certain way. But you need to actually actively create it. You have to know what it feels like. But we do always do ask permissions, because everybody has a free agency in the universal law. That's the one law that you can never break. I can impose something, or I can try to make you feel something, but if you don't accept it, you can't feel it that way. It takes both ways, right?
Love it.
That if you want to create a specific feeling, or know how to feel it, or how to feel it, when to feel it, or if it's possible to feel it, and that you already do have that feeling, you have to say yes to it, so that that you consciously and subconsciously you are open to receiving that pathway. And then that you know, and you do the downloads from the highest and the most loving and the most knowledgeable energy, highest vibration that you can tap into. So it's not our perception of what happiness is or what our perception of love is. Maybe in
Yes.
higher perspective, love is a little bit different because, you know, in our human body, human mind, we might think, oh, love hurts because if, you know, somebody was growing up being beaten by, you know, somebody, and then just that, you know, the parent or the caretaker was saying like, I'm doing this because I love you,
Yeah.
you know, then in somewhere in their mind, then that's what love is to them. So we need to consciously decide to rewrite more higher perspective love, because people want to receive the feeling of love, but they might be afraid of love if that comes with the pain. So we are kind of tracing back to all those things. But in the downloads that we do in the theta healing, we just kind of detect things that that person might be not aware or don't know how to awaken. So we just, it's almost like a emotional, energetic, homeopathic, that
Yeah.
we create that little pathway so that you can recreate it a lot easier, you know?
Yes, I do. And for the record, for the you guys watching, you probably already know this, people, but I'm just going to tell you, theta waves have to do with creation. That's why it's called theta healing, because you are creating new pathways, you're creating a new field. And the heart, she keeps talking about the emotions that go with, you know, whatever you connect it to, whether it's love or poverty or whatever. You have emotions that are bonded to these thoughts and these thought forms. And so if love causes pain, then you have a response in your body, whether it's fight or flight or sadness or fear or whatever. And so that's connected. So in my case, the fight, may have served me wherever, but it was not serving me in the way that it was bringing back some things negatively, so we just had to reverse, that it could be fight and, win and success and all those things, but with joy and with ease and with, love and all the great things that can come with it, if that's the way it's rewritten in the code. And the reason too, my science part of me understands that with theta healing, what you're doing by giving them the idea to imagine it, then it also, thoughts are connected to how you're feeling. So if you think about it, and that does redirect a new way to feel with that associated thought form, then feelings are the most magnetic than even more than the brain. Like the brain radiates and magnetizes, but this is 100 times stronger on the magnetizing. So you can feel and you can radiate that feeling, and that radiation from the heart is going to bring more of a pull into your field back to your patterns than even your brain will. So I love how, my work and what I've been doing, and maybe subconsciously when I've read this a long time ago, why I was so drawn to it is because it made sense to me that we would use our feelings and our thoughts and our creativity and our emotions. But no one had ever walked me through a session for me to know that this is exactly how you do it, by asking those questions. Do you want to know what it feels like to be a warrior with success and with ease and with love and with peace? I mean, those are some of the things you were asking. I don't know verbatim, but would you like to know how it feels to just be able to rest every day and to have ease in your body and in your mind, and to have peace and to enjoy peace in the midst of everything that's going on in your life? And I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, yeah, I would like to know how that feels. And I knew where that was going because I was picturing it. I was seeing pictures. I was feeling relaxed in my body. I was feeling my shoulders drop. It was very like intimate and beautiful. And then this raven starts like making noises above my head, right? And I don't know if you were distracted. You seemed like oh gosh, or maybe it was just me thinking you were, but I was like, no, this is great, because ravens to me are about, my home people and that whole, Norway theology, kind of like, mythology, just the ravens are prophecy and the seer prophecy. And so I was like, no, they're helping me. These guys just showed up to like be in my session and, speed up all this like healing right now. And it was just so beautiful. I mean, I remember I was just crying and I was like, thank you, birds. And there was a deer that showed up with like babies, and I was like, oh my God, a mama deer, like right in front of us with like 2 twin babies. I was like, okay, I got to look this up. So, the field shifted, the land, the whole area we were at. And I didn't even tell you this, but after we were finished, you did see me. I was like, I gotta lay down. I literally just like laid down on the grass to get grounded. Well, what I didn't tell you, I don't think, is that my crystal, I had a labradorite in my pocket, and it fell out of my pocket, and I didn't know it. And so I had a interview with Sasha Stone right after, and so I left you and we parted, and I drove over to my friend Laura Eisenhower's, and we were going to do this interview with Sasha and with Michael Jaco, another guy. And I got there and I reached in my pocket and it wasn't there. And normal me would be like OCD, freak out, like whatever. But I did that same thing. I just like saw it. I was like, I'm God's eyes seeing my crystal right now. And I, left it in my mind of like, I'm going to get this back. I already know where it is, and it's going to be easy and fun, and this is ease. And so the whole, interview, we're doing the interview, and when it's over, I told my friend, like, hey, I got to go back to the Theta Center and pick up something that I left over there. And she was like, oh, okay, I'll go. And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is part of, everything works out for me, right? So this is just another reason. I wonder what's going to happen with the two of us going, and how this is going to work, and what we're going to see, and what this is all about. And so she gets in the car, and she's now connected with the center and with the land. And so, we drove over there, pull up. I walked directly over there. I look right where I was laying. There it is. Maybe just needed to record a little bit extra of, what was happening in the ground there, and had to pick up a little bit extra thing for me to come home with it and transmute it into my home and my body and put it in my pocket. And I was like, well, thank you, I hope you picked all this up for me. And maybe some animals came around and could have recorded more, ravens or something. I don't know. I some reason it had to be there. And then we got some extra time, Laura and I, just to be able to be on the grounds, and she got introduced to it and stuff. So, but yeah, now the best part, right? And this part.
Mm-hmm.
So part of this war gear type situation for me had brought up some conflict within my own family. And to the point where I had some family members that we were not speaking at all because of some choices that were made. And it was just is pretty volatile, and it had been going on for like a year. And I had come home several times and not even seen these people, not even on purpose, just did not even go see them, because I just didn't want the conflict, and I really didn't know if they wanted to see me. And it was just very, delicate situation, and time was a part of it too. So here I was supposed to be going the next day to go see my mother and pick up my mom, who was going to be staying there. And I wasn't going to stay there because of all of those things. And I wasn't even going to go there. I was just going to go pick her up and skedaddle out of there. But after the session and going to get my rock, I don't know what happened. Oh my gosh. But I just had this insatiable drive in my mind to have to go there and have to see them and have to like just so much love. I just felt so much love, and just like it was just vanished. And I called my mom and I'm like, hey, you know, I definitely want to stay there, and I'm going to come early to make sure that I'm there to see this one specific family member who we were very, very, very close. And then there was just nothing. And so I said, please tell her, you know, make sure she knows that I am coming. I'm leaving very, very early in the morning on purpose to make sure that I'm there before she leaves, because she was leaving for a retreat and I didn't want to miss her. I really felt like we got to like fix this. This is just got to work out. And so I left very early that morning from Laura's and drove, you know, the same drive that you had today, all the way a little bit further actually. And when I got there, my cousin was literally waiting for me in the driveway when I pulled up. And when I got out, like I just ran to her, and we just ran to each other, and we just hugged and cried, and it was like nothing ever happened, like nothing happened. And it wasn't her. It was, I fixed me. I let go. I shifted. It was nothing with her, but it was all me who needed to just let go and have this session with you. And, you know, I don't know, but something happened. And I was going to show you this picture because it's just literally crazy. I didn't know that my mom was taking a picture. But that later that night, my mom had sent these pictures, and she's like, hey, look at this. And this is my cousin. This is my, you know, when we saw each other, and this thing shows up, this ginormous orb of light, red, love. You know, tell me what you've seen this. And I've seen lots of these in pictures with paranormal, supernatural things that have happened, and especially in high energy, you know, spiritual God church types things. But you sent me something about an animal that you had worked on, or somebody had worked on, and you saw something similar, correct?
I don't remember. Did I say that? I don't know.
Or maybe it might have been Vivian, Vivian or
Yeah.
Faye, but in the group text, one of you guys had sent me a picture of a dog who had the exact same thing on the dog that they were working on in a theta session, which I didn't even think to do animals in theta sessions, but
yeah, it's incredible. It's powerful actually to do sessions with animals. But this actually, when you showed me this picture, it made me like tear up. I mean, it's so beautiful. This is like instant healing at work. And you shifted it. Like I had a pleasure of witnessing this, but you did it, you shifted it, and then there it is. It's just there it is to show you a confirmation, like all the shifting that you have done in that instant. I mean, the session was no longer the 60 minutes. And then all these family trauma, the things that was in the DNA encoded, 100 years lifespan, or even possibly more. And then you shifted it, you did it. And then it's just so beautiful to see in some little more concrete way like this. And then it's just perfect that your mom was able to capture this. And then just thinking that this color being red, it's like the family, it's that root chakra color too, right? And then that's so much fun. And a beautiful thing about this encoding that we do, that micro adjustment that we can make in our own journey, our own healing, we can actually heal the generations past and generations forward. And then that whole shift is just shown there, and then that is there to stay. It's just so beautiful, just so amazing.
And I love that you brought up, shifting past and forward, because it literally will change the timeline, and does change the timeline. But females specifically will hold the DNA of every partner we've ever had, and every child we've ever birthed. And if you have a female child, then when that baby is inside of you, the baby will have all the eggs that it'll ever have when it's a baby inside of you. So you're actually carrying your grandchildren as well. If you're pregnant, you'll be carrying your baby and your grandchildren all, at the same time. So when they've done autopsies on women, they were able to find DNA in the brain specifically having to do with any partner they've ever had. And then also, even without dying, you can find out how many children and if they were boys or girls just by lab work. So I say all this to say, when we shift within us, if it feels like extra, I don't like the word hard, because conscious language, it creates tumors and cysts. So when we create with ease and when we are shifting ourselves and transmuting ourselves, if it feels like extra sometimes, it's because you're shifting for so many. You're shifting for all the DNA of any partner and all of the children that you're still carrying. And it does shift instantaneously within you and them at the same time. And I've seen this over and over and over, where I make a shift and then this other person makes a shift. And I didn't have to say words. I didn't have to sit down and do a therapy session with them. I didn't write them a letter. Nothing happened. On a DNA level, it happens, but on an energy level, it happens too, because obviously my cousin and I aren't sharing DNA in that aspect, but we do share DNA from our forefathers. And here it was, all I had to do was do it in me, and then this created. And then I thought about this too, and I don't know if I told you this or not either, but someone had asked me if we had some sort of, this is a very intuitive person. She was like, do you guys have some sort of covenant with each other? And it didn't even occur to me, but we actually do have, we both got tattoos when we were kids with my grandfather's initials. Because my grandfather was a rancher and a farmer, and we had all this cattle, and he had a brand that he had put on all his animals to keep them safe and to identify them if they ran off or somebody, stole them or something. And my cousin and I, we adored my grandfather, and we had gotten this brand. That was my first tattoo ever, and I think hers. And so we had done this thing together as besties and best cousins, and that's cutting the skin, which is a blood covenant of a kind. By definition, a type of ritual, which, I wasn't thinking about that at the time or trying to make a ritual or very thoughtful about it. But, now looking back at what that is a covenant. In covenant relationships, there is usually a blood, there can be a blood covenant. And so again, it shifted in me, which shifted all of us. And, you got any words about that?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, because the work we did was through your grandparents, grandfather. So that makes sense that it shifted the relationship so dramatically, energetically, with your cousin. And then it just retrospectively, because I had no idea your relationship with your cousin or
tattoos or
any of that, tattoos, nothing. But then energy don't lie, and then what comes out, and then what is radiating out, and then just that, capturing it and then interpreting it, and then just kind of facilitating, assisting, so that you can take on your journey what makes sense to you. And then that just kind of do a gentle way of visiting and revisiting the family members, and then healing the trauma in that generations as well, while you're healing yourself. And it just makes us incredibly powerful being as well. How much influence that we have by us being responsible for our emotions, our energy, what we are projecting out. We can change that vibration everywhere. But if we be responsible and we own it, it's nothing good or bad. Fear is not bad. The anger is not bad. It serves us in certain way too. But how we take it, and then, do we get run over by it, or do we just use it as the benefit, and then not just keeping at the survival level, but maybe we can be thriving. And if we do that, then we are healing generations, all the people around us, or collective consciousness. Like, we are such a powerful being, and then we can change so much by just simply being attentive to our own emotions and our vibrations.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That's right. And it's just being aware. And I love the word you brought up, intend, because intend, to tend to something is to, be responsible for it and to take care of it. And we pretend and then we intend. And so the inner work is on a theta level. Again, that creative power, that especially now with everything that's going on in the world and just the uncertainty and what have you, to stay stabilized and at peace and have the discipline to work through everything that we is required of us in this integration time. What would you say to that, especially with where we're at in this season?
I think all the more that our intuitive ability, and then our ability to really make sense of what's around us, visible or invisible, I think is becoming so much more important now, so that we can maneuver through information and misinformations, and like, what's your personal truth, what resonate with you, or having the ability of what's right for your body, or what's right, like what makes sense to you. I think there's a lot of different variation of truth out there, but then you ultimately have to be able to decide for yourself, know it for yourself, and then gather the information, what speaks true to you in the world that you are in. And then the more that we unlock our ancient ability to be able to sense things or make sense of vibrations. What does this vibration mean? What does this feeling mean? The more clearer that we can be in being the conduit, or that being that just a translator for things that's beyond what we know as the truth, like just the confined sense of like what we can see. Like, so much of us is beyond just this physical body.
Yes.
And then being able to tap into all the information, including things that the human beings don't know yet. It's such a powerful thing to have on your side. That could be just the rocks, radiating certain vibration. And then if you know how to, be compatible with that, or when to utilize that, if you can use your intuition in doing that, then you have so much allies in navigating your life. And then whatever the turmoil that's going on, you have your connection, with the earth, you have your connection with the higher up, and just everything around you. And then it can go against you, or it can be for you. But how you choose to see it is up to you, right?
Wow.
So perspectives, and then if we shift our perspective, we
Yes.
can be limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like when the rock was missing, it's like I could have just had a freak out and, oh my God, I'm never going to find it. And someone probably took it and like go down the rabbit trail of the worst case scenario, or just be like, you know what, it is what it is. And it is, it'll be with someone else, or if that's where it was supposed to be, or it'll be there when I get back, or just, and I like how you reminded me tonight too, that we picked this. That's really important for me to hear right now too, just because some of the programs and different things that I'm in the process of deprogramming, and that was a good reminder to say, like, well, it served you at one time. It doesn't mean that it's going to work or it needs to still be here, but it did serve you. So it's not like a waste of time or, whatever for me or anybody else, but that sometimes there's just some recalculating that needs to, not needs to, but gets to be an opportunity when we're aware of it. And when we do see, oh, well, I see this now. And is this good? Or do I want to keep doing it? Or is this like something that needs to change? Because ultimately, when we have a GPS, you know, if love is the destination and love is the highest frequency, then you may take some turns to get there, and some of them may not look like it, how you thought it was going to go. But if we picked that to learn the lessons, to find that love and to get at the end result, then that's the perspective. That's so important, is, like, everything works out for me. Like, even when things don't appear to be working out, if we could just have that remembrance of God is still here, and we picked this time, and we're here to integrate and to learn and to get lessons out of what we're doing while we're here. And that along the way, as we shift within us, and that's going to create a collective shift, because we're all connected, and that the more of us that work on us on the inner, that's going to affect more on the earth. And what if we were all sitting here to change the earth and be new earth architects? I mean, we are. So what an idea that we get to pick the timeline, and we get to create, and we get to just continually work on ourselves to see our outcome of what we choose, and not let things happen to us anymore. But to get our authority back, and to be the ones in our own authorship of writing our own story and versing our own story. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, and I talk a lot about this in the Science of Miracles, and I think I sent you a copy. I don't know if you got a chance to read it yet. You've been
I need to get my hand on that. That's just sounds.
You've been teaching in class for like a month, I think. So I definitely look forward to having another session with some things that have come up. So I will be in contact with you. But for anyone else who's watching, if you're interested in connecting with her and getting your session, that she actually does remote work. And can you tell us how we can connect with you? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd be interested in having a session and seeing what how they can get some support.
That would be wonderful if I can assisting other people's healing journey. Yeah, so you can message me through Instagram or the Facebook account. You can look me up by Yuasa Green. And you can just private message me, and I definitely love to have sessions. And I can do a Zoom sessions or phone call sessions, or I am of course I do in-person sessions as well. But then the remote session is as powerful, because energetically it doesn't matter. We're here.
Yep, there is no time or space, obviously, because there I was 2 hours, 3 hours away from my cousin, and there was like obviously some sort of quantum connection there that just shifted things. So and look at us and how we found each other. That was all quantum, of just like timing and energy. And everyone will only submit to your lowest common denominator. So the more that we put out and connect with, that instant theta manifestation of putting things out there, then that's what we intend, and that's what we get back. And I do hope that you guys will check out her Instagram and connect with her, and you guys can grab these cards too. Didn't you pick a card for tonight? I would love to.
I did. I got the tourmalinated quartz.
Nice.
That was just it. And then it's I am pure, clear, and secure, and so is my world.
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely.
Seriously. Yeah.
Perfect for right now.
Yeah.
What does it say that it does, and what's the companion oils? Can you read it for me?
The companion oils are hyssop, rosemary, lemongrass, and then the tea tree.
Awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then let's see. So the vibration is divine, and tourmaline and quartz both have innate abilities to clear, cleanse, ground, and protect. In union, these amplifies the effect. So that's nice to magnify that now, right? And
Yeah,
then these are also amazing electromagnetic radiation protectors.
that's
Thank
important.
Yep.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I actually picked one too. I picked blue calcite.
Nice.
So anyone who needs this one or the tourmaline, you guys can receive that. We did testings on this too with the field where you can muscle test before and you could be weak, but you add the crystal into the field. You don't even have to hold it, but you just put it in the field and the person will be stronger. So we took the crystal away and we just gave them the card, and the card actually just being in the field would make someone be stronger instantly by just having this in the field. So that's why we made the cards instead of a book, because I wanted people to be able to, put this under a pillow or carry it in a backpack or your purse or your lunchbox or in your office or your car, or if your kids, in their lunchbox or backpack, or stick it under their mattress or their pillow or their underwear drawer. I don't know, like try to keep it in the field. But yeah, so blue calcite has to do with throat chakra. It's a powerful tool to give you ability of really gives you focus. And the day of multitasking and busyness, blue calcite helps gather yourself together in mind, body, spirit. It takes action for important tasks at hand. And this crystal also has a calming, balancing energy that nurtures the soul. The decree is, I am ease and calm and balance now. Companion oils are cinnamon bark, lavender, Roman chamomile, and spruce. So what's interesting is I'm actually diffusing gathering right now, which has two of these. And also it talked about gathering in the middle of multitasking. Sometimes you can get so spread out that you're just like, okay, I need to come back in. And my cat is just like deciding to give herself a bath here. But frequency in cats too, 157 megahertz with a purr. But yeah. So any final words before we part for the evening? And thank you again. And everyone knows how to contact you. What would you say as some final words here tonight?
That resonated with me is kind of what you said about changing the vibration of the world. And then I think we heal ourselves so that we can do that, right? And then I think all the more in this climate, that is becoming so much more important. So if I can be assistant or use all the tools that you can, I mean, these can bring up things that you didn't know about yourself, or, by just picking a card and then just kind of looking at it. And if it resonates with you, then that gives you something to work on. It can be just the entrance way, or maybe use a quartz, or, whatever tools available. But I think that it's like urgent that we heal ourselves, and that I think it's incredible opportunity. I'm so grateful that you made these cards, and then that you sent it to me, and then that somehow that we synchronized our timings to be able to meet. And then I'm just so grateful for you.
Yes. Thank you. And I'm grateful for you too. And I mean, it's just been such a joy to have you in my life now. And we talk every now and then or send a quick text, and it's just like, yay, I just always feel so much love whenever I get to be with you or see you. And you're just so patient and kind. And even when you talk, it's just like you carry this presence of love and just love on legs. And thank you for being you and picking up the call and being the amazing person you are. You're just such a shiny, radiant lady. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I know you love her too. I'm sure everyone's feeling the love in this like we are. And definitely do reach out. please do go to swiftfire.org. Go to swiftfire.org. I cannot stress that enough. Get on the newsletter, because there you can get all the tools. You know, any interviews coming up, different ways, resources, books, lots of great ideas and things that can help us to shift. So swiftfire.org, get there. And I look forward to seeing all you guys. Thank you for bringing the energy with us tonight and hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys next time. Y'all have a great night. Thanks. Love y'all.
Thank you.